Welcome to Portland.
Welcome. It's great being here.
Listen to that voice.
Hi.
Oh, my goodness. You are a Basso profundo. I don't think that means that you're a profound bass. What does it mean
mentally
to say?
profound, mentally. It just means I'm I'm as low as you can go.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the lowest voice part.
Technically speaking, what is the range and the lowest note, not necessarily that you can sing, but that falls under that category of that particular vocal range?
You know, you really need to have a good low B flat because of the Rachmaninoff Vespers, which has that magic moment at the end of the Nunc Dimittis. It just goes down there and separates the men from the boys, I guess.
Well, that said, I was online and I found at least a couple of different recordings where you have the only recording with the note that the composer intended, including this piece that I found by the Russian composer Chesnikov.
Okay. Pavel Chesnikov.
All right. What is the story behind this little piece? Yeah.
Well, it's a big solo for Basso profundo and choir. And the text is translated, "Do not rebuke me in my old age." So they give it to the lowest voice, And there are two endings to it. His first ending goes down to low G, which is below low C, the last G on the piano keyboard. And then he wrote another ending, which doesn't go there. So it had never been really commercially recorded. And then when we did it with Conspirare, when we did this Russian disc, we were kind of excited to have the opportunity to get it down. There are versions out there that do the alternate ending, but if you listen and compare it to a piano, they've taken it up a half step, so they're a little cheating a little bit. But it's a big Russian Orthodox piece, and it kind of got a bit of a splash since I did it and hadn't been really done there.
So this CD with Conspirare and you, Glenn Miller, won the Grammy in 2015.
Yes, it was exciting.
All Russian music.
Yes, all Russian. It was amazing. We were there and anxious, and when we walked into the hall, they were playing the CD. Because they played little clips from things, and we're like, oh no, an omen, let's not get excited. But then, it happened.
I was reading your bio and how when you were younger, when you were in high school, singing, for your range, there's not a whole lot of roles that are going to be lead roles.
No.
It must be such an amazing thing now to be winning Grammys.
Well, yeah, and to find my niche, in this Russian music, because they depend on this voice so much.
Glenn, you're most associated with your work with Conspirare, with whom you won a Grammy Award. This is your debut, though, with Cappella Romana.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. When they did the Rock Vespers a few years ago, we tried to make it work, and I just couldn't make it work at my end, and I was so disappointed. But then this kind of bubbled up. And it's a piece I've been wanting to do again, so it was like, perfect. I'm just so excited to be here.
Now, you were here. You did perform with the Oregon Bach Festival.
Right.
That was a few years ago?
Yes, that was about, I want to say 3 years ago, when they did the Rachmaninoff Vespers. That's kind of my entree piece with various groups all over the place.
Well, from the 90s with that Robert Shaw recording, it seems like that was the one that got so many folks really
that's where
interested.
I started it. I'm on that recording.
You are?
Yep. That really was the launch pad.
Oh, wow.
It was, how that all happened was I had just finished grad school, and I took 6 months off to go to England and just soak up the choral culture, and I missed the auditions, and I saw they were doing that, but I knew people at the Shaw Institute, and Mr. Shaw wasn't happy with the bass section yet, so they called me up and they said, "Glenn, just sing a scale," and which I
over the phone.
Well, no, I put it on a cassette, and so I got in, and then went to France, and he always heard everybody at the beginning of the institute because he signed everybody the number and all that, and he just started taking me down, Mr. Shaw, and he just started to laugh. The lower we got, he was sitting there. I could not look at him. And then we went down to the B flat, and he gave me this big bear hug, and he said, "Brother Miller, we can now do the piece."
You're listening to Northwest Previews here on All Classical Portland. I'm Brandy Parisi, and I'm speaking with Basso Profundo Glenn Miller. He's performing with Cappella Romana through this weekend, the all-night vigil by Aino Juhani Rautavaara. So I know that for people who are listening, there's at least a handful that are wondering, what's his lowest note? So can I ask you, or are you warmed up enough?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, low. Yeah, I don't have, yeah, yeah.
All right.
Want me to do a descending scale?
Perfect.
That's not much.
This piece by Rautavaara is absolutely gorgeous. Rautavaara, in the last 10 years especially, it seems like his music is getting a lot more attention. Sadly, he died just last year.
Yeah.
And so he isn't around to see that he's
it's finally coming to it's getting the the notoriety that it deserves.
Exactly. There are some similarities to the Rachmaninoff all-night vigil with this piece. Of course, it's not in Russian. It's in
Finnish.
Finnish.
It's in Finnish, Well, it's a vigil and a matins. There's two sections to it, like the Rachmaninoff Vespers, which is kind of a misnomer because it's not just the Vespers, it's matins along with it, So it has that piece of it. And there's texts that are common, only different translations. The Rautavaara is very specific because it's written for the Feast of St. John the Baptist. And there's one section in this which always scares me. And the choir has these descending, recurring chord sequence. And I'm going through this big, long lesson about, he's getting his head chopped off. And it's just too many words and too sort of space. It's always a little different every time I go through it. No, not quite, but it's a challenge. His harmonic language is fresh, but you can feel kind of the terrain of Finland, It's just beautiful.
One of the things that has struck me listening to sections of this is that, on the one hand, it does sound very traditional, but it also has a kind of a modern feel to it.
Yes. He does some interesting things, too. The choir's not always singing. There's a section where they're just kind of whispering, and they're doing some non-traditional sounds, which kind of pushes the envelope a little bit, too.
Glenn Miller is a Grammy Award-winning Basso profundo. He's performing through this weekend with Capella Romana, the all-night vigil by Aino Juhani Rautavaara. Tomorrow evening in Seattle at St. Mark's Cathedral, in Portland Saturday evening at St. Mary's Cathedral, and Sunday afternoon at St. Stephen's Catholic Church in Southeast Portland. More information under the cultural events page of our website, allclassical.org. For Northwest Previews, I'm Brandy Parisi.